Listen, Puma, right off the bat, like I think I'm leaning towards the Buffalo Bills to win this game, mostly just because obviously you know my hate for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and I just want somebody to dethrone them. So I think this is a game that is just massive for the Bills. Like if the Chiefs lose this game, it's not that big of an issue. But if the Bills lose this game, I think it's more damaging for them psychologically because they need this game. They gotta have the upper hand in the tiebreaker and the home field advantage in the playoffs because I've been harping on this for weeks now. You've got to somehow have Kansas City come up to Buffalo. You can't go out to Kansas City in the playoffs. That's how you lose those games with 13 seconds left. So Josh Allen must have a big game. He can take the MVP lead here. And the Kansas City Chiefs themselves, as great as they've been, I think they've got a serious flaw here. And the fact that nobody's been able to stop Travis Kelce. I get that. He's great. But I'm convinced if you stop Travis Kelce, you stop the Chiefs. The Colts did a good job of limiting basically bracketing him, double teaming him, limiting him to making sure he doesn't go off. And whenever you do that, the Chiefs are very vulnerable. So if you are playing that defense the Raiders played last night, just letting this dude run wild, get 4 touchdowns on 7 receptions and 25 yards, yeah, you're going to be in for a long night. But I'm convinced that offense still is gonna miss Travis Kelce it's gonna miss Tyreek Hill once you take Travis Kelce out of the mix.
Oh, for sure. And, I co-sign that. I'm with you on this one. I got the Bills winning this game. This line has been going back and forth between Bills -2.5 to Bills -3. And again, the Chiefs are at home. So betting purposes wise, I grabbed the Chiefs at 3. I think this is going to be a close game. But I do have the Bills winning outright. And Jay, I mean, I've been saying this since we started the podcast this season. Like this is like the Bills' revenge tour. Like they
Mm-hmm.
have taken names this season, and like you said, it's a psychological type of deal. You have to exercise the demons. You have to move beyond what happened last year with 13 seconds left. You have to beat the Chiefs at home. To quote Hulk Hogan, you can't be the man unless you beat the man. And nothing's gonna matter how they do the rest of the season because we all know the Bills are going to the playoffs, barring some catastrophic injury. But it's not going to matter if you have to travel to Kansas City to go back into the Lions' den. You need to have this playoff game at home in Buffalo in the wintertime. So they need to exercise the demons here. And this team, the Chiefs can be beat. And I know people are just going to say, oh, well, Devontae Adams only had 4 catches for like 175 yards. Okay, great. Yes, he only had 4 catches. But he also could have had a shit ton more yardage if there wasn't a bunch of defensive passing interference calls. They were interfering with Adams because they knew they couldn't keep up with that dude. So I think this is going to be a big game for Stephon Diggs. I think this is going to be a big game for Gabe Davis. Isaiah McKenzie, he didn't play last week against the Steelers because he was in concussion protocol. Khalil Shakir, I should say, he stepped up in McKenzie's place. He had 3 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown, so he can fill that slot receiver role if Isaiah McKenzie's not able to go. And the Chiefs, I know this was towards the end of the game, they really didn't talk about it a whole lot, but MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he had a couple of crucial drops yesterday, and he kind of found his way out of the good graces of Patrick Mahomes in that offense. And they were just giving the ball to Mecole Hardman a lot. But he kind of came up lame at one point in the fourth quarter with what looked like a heel injury of some sort. I mean, he was still in the game. He missed a drive, I believe, but he still didn't have that same burst. Maybe that's something that's going to be nagging him. And again, like if you take Travis Kelce out of this, you're down to Sky Moore, the rookie wide receiver that they drafted, who I think has a bunch of potential. MVS, and then Juju Smith-Schuster, who's kind of underperformed since he's gotten into Kansas City, and now you're down to all right, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. All right, we know what he is, and then Jerick McKinnon. I think if they fall behind like they did last night, you're going to see a heavy Jerick McKinnon game, the pass catching running back who's got some pop. I mean, he wasn't a slouch when he was with Minnesota, and he got a big contract when he went to San Francisco before he blew his knee out. He just wasn't able to get any traction up there. But I got the Bills winning here, but they're going to have to take Kelce out. Mahomes is going to have to find someone else to beat the Bills with.
Spot on. And like obviously Von Miller's gonna have a big game. Last night both Chandler Jones and Max Crosby were eating, basically getting after Patrick Mahomes for the first half. But then second half, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a schematic change on the protection from the Chiefs side. Did the Raiders defensive line run out of gas? But they were nowhere to be found, and you can't have that. Von Miller's got to put pressure on him for 4 quarters straight. Now, the other thing is, and this is something we talk about every week, and I don't know when it's going to be fixed. Maybe it won't be fixed, but you cannot have Josh Allen be tied for rushing yards as well with Devin Singletary on and be like one of the lead rushers for the team on a week-to-week basis. Like you're gonna obviously I get it, he's big, he's a big dude, he takes a lot of punishment, but it's not sustainable in my opinion for winning games in the long run. And you've got to find some sort of rushing attack to complement the rest of that team. That team staff top to bottom Puma is stacked, whether it's wide receivers, tight ends. I mean, obviously Josh Allen, the quarterback, offensive line is playing well, defense is playing well, but that rushing attack is still lacking, and that's going to be their Achilles heel if they don't fix that anytime soon.
Well, we didn't really touch on this off the top, but there's a certain team that just fired a head coach in Matt Rule, and that would be the Carolina Panthers.
Let's go run CMC.
And the Bills were one of the first teams to make a call about Christian McCaffrey. Now, I know Dave Tepper is trying to be the NFL version of Ted Turner, the former owner of the Atlanta Braves, who was trying to win now at everything, and I think at one point was the manager of the Atlanta Braves when he first bought the team. But reality is going to have to set in with Dave Tepper. You're not going to win with this roster. PJ Walker is not going to resurrect this team and have a playoff run in the NFC South. You might as well strip it down to the studs and get some draft picks, especially since you've mortgaged draft picks the last 3 years in the draft, and you don't have a third or fourth round pick for next season, I believe. Why not flip Christian McCaffrey to get a haul of draft picks? It's not like you're going to have to eat a whole lot of his contract because he's not in a contract year. I think the cap hit is, I think it's like less than $20 million. I have to go back and look, but the cap hit is more palatable with Christian McCaffrey if you were able to move off of him.
Could you imagine? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say you were going right where I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. Imagine you drop Christian McCaffrey. I know injury history and whatnot, but at least maybe we can get back into using CMC the way he was used when he was first drafted out of Stanford, which I believe the offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey was on the Panthers staff at one point during CMC's ascendance. You get him in space, you get him in the passing game, and you can have him be the outlet to Josh Allen. And maybe Josh Allen won't be leading the team in rushing anymore.
Singletary, James Cook, Zach Moss, Run CMC, Josh Allen, and that running attack, bro. Oh, imagine that coming at you with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs deep. Oh, Super Bowl, call it. Super Bowl right now.
Yep. I say, go all in. I mean, we've seen what the Rams did. We've seen what the Rams have done since Les Snead has been a general manager there. It's just, damn the torpedoes, like mortgage your draft capital. It's not nobody's gonna care if you win a championship, right? Like if the Rams lost last year to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, hindsight's always going to be 2020. You're always going to have someone say something about draft picks, but at this point, like, you have a team built to win now. Like, you might as well go all in.
Yeah, basically pull the less need F them picks.